Hello everyone, welcome back to another stream on Fancy Football Scout. Today, as usual, I'm joined by the beautiful Gianni Battici, and today we're going to go through my Game Week 2 team selection. I'm also going to show you my Game Week 1 team and how we're getting on so far. Gianni, how are we keeping?
Yeah, man, really well. It's been nice to have FPL back. Like whether you've had a good game week or bad week, hopefully you've just enjoyed the return of FPL. I have, and we have to like the knee jerk like nature of I need this player, this player, this player, and this player. Like guys, we've all spent so long picking the team that we picked, and a lot of it like isn't the perfect team by any stretch for any manager. And there'll be players you maybe thought you made a bad call on, but you have to give a lot of these players time. And there's certainly a fair few players in my team that I'm seeing other managers being like, got to sell Florian Wirtz, he's rubbish. It's like, it's one blank, like chill, you know?
Yeah, no, I know what you're saying. By the way, do let us know in chat if the audio is okay. No, absolutely. It's easy to be reactionary in Game Week 1. Again, we don't have much else to go off, but I've had a decent week, Gianni. Not that it matters, but I'm going to stay grounded and see how the next
It does
four...
matter. It
No.
does still matter. Like, fair play, man, because I can't wait to talk your team because you've gone against the grain and it's hit week 1. So fair play.
Yeah, and in previous seasons, not to go back to the Haaland year, but I had a really rough start that year until Game Week 3. We're about 6.2 million in the world, so don't be discouraged. I mean, these first few weeks are not they don't directly contribute to where you finish in 38. Of course, a good start of the season would be ideal, but we don't live in that type of world. And your team now could bang in Game Week 3, Game Week 4, so it could balance itself out.
It doesn't define your season what happens in game week 1. Like and do you know what? Even the good scores in game week 1, and we're going to see a good score with your team. Like the good scores versus the bad scores, it's not monumental. We're not talking like a massively high scoring game week where good scores hit 90 and bad scores hit 40. Like it's going to be, it's 10, 20 points. It's fine. You might make that in game week 2. So keep calm and carry on. Obviously, we still want to be a bit knee jerky and there'll still be transfers we want to make. That's fine. But don't think you need to rip up your team because I bet you don't, you know?
Yeah, Gianni, we haven't spoke since last Sunday. So let's move on to my team and I'll run you through it. And everyone in chat, of course, do hit those buttons, like and subscribe before we carry on if you enjoy these type of videos. But let's move straight on to it.
Yeah, sweet. Looking forward to seeing your team and talk us through some of your big dilemmas as you deadlined, streamed, and like where you were at with your selection.
Okay, perfect. So in front of you, I've got my points for this week. 72 points overall. Again, 500k-ish rank, which is decent. You have to remember the ranks at this point, if anyone is looking at it, that they are quite tight. You know, the difference of 2 points could be a few 100,000 ranks. So 72 points on goal. We got Robert Sanchez. 3 at the back: Murillo, Porro, Williams. 5 in midfield in Gakpo, Palmer, Kudus, Fernandez, and Jorginho Rutter. Haaland's up top, captain's 26 points, and 2-pointer from Ollie Watkins. Now, coming to my deadline stream, for anyone that doesn't follow me or isn't subscribed to FPL Chai, we done a deadline stream on Friday, and going into it, I really had no dilemmas. I was quite confident where I was in the team, and the only transfer I made on stream was Joe Rodon to Goodmanson for Leeds, so I was quite confident going into the week. The only move I did make before that was Jorginho Rutter in for Elliot Anderson, who was the 5.5 mid. And I did also clash with the idea of going with Reinders. So I'm not too worried going without Reinders for the time being. I do have a decision to make this week currently, as I don't plan on free hitting in game week 2 with no Arsenal. But to go from a Jorginho Rutter, who got hooked at around 70 minutes, I believe, got an assist, and potentially go to a Reinders who plays against Tottenham at home and also has some favourable fixtures. And that's the only move I can see myself making with 0 in the bank and 1 free transfer. Now, to run you through some of the hauls, if you want to call them. Of course, Erling Haaland was a big decision for me to go without Salah. Absolutely massive with Salah returning with 16 points overall if you captained him. So to get 10 points on Salah owners was great. And the 0.5 million, which I don't know if I've made the most of, with Ollie Watkins blanking, Bruno Fernandes blanking, and also Cole Palmer. But a majority of managers do own these sort of players, so I'm not too worried. Mohamed Kudus, Gianni, one we spoke quite highly about before the deadline past for a few weeks. The hype was there as a Spurs fan for me. Again, it was Burnley, so I'm trying not to get too caught up on it. Cody Gakpo, who's one I was really high on the start of the season, a fan favourite for Gianni, 7-pointer and good minutes for Gakpo, so absolutely buzzing with that.
Yeah, I know. Hurt me that you
sure
had him and I didn't.
So Gakpo, of course, the thought process there for me was Luis Diaz gone out the door. No sign of Alexander Isak to be confirmed just yet. He's going to get the minutes for me. If it's even in the first 3 or 4, I'm happy. So Gakpo coming in solidly, and then Rutter with a small return, Pedro Porro of course with the clean sheet, and Sanchez with 1 save point. Forest leaving us down. Overall, very, very, very happy. I mean, anywhere in reasonable range for the first game week I would have been happy, and an excellent start if anything for us. So I'm delighted with it. And going into next week, I think the team shapes up really well, which I do have behind this graphic. Gianni, this week, how have we done?
Yeah, all right. I mean, 51 points with Dewsbury Hall to play. Like, it's going to be I don't know, I guess a grey arrow, I expect. I think the average will be about 51 at the moment. I had similar returns to you. I just didn't have the Haaland points. So we both had a 10-point midfielder. You had could aside Rangers. We both had Pedro Porro and Sanchez. We both had double Nottingham Forest defence. So, you know, it's a fairly looking shape. You had Haaland, I had Salah. And that's probably the bit. Oh, and then you were Gakpo too, right? So you've had another return there from a player. We both have Watkins. You've got Jorginho, or I've got Dewsbury Hall. So, and again, I had Verts, you've got Bruno. So the biggest difference here is your premium hitting bigger with captaincy, plus your extra Gakpo. But yeah, we both went for the same defence, mate, which is interesting. That double Nottingham. So I'm quite happy with 51. And Dewsbury Hall, I'd love some points. I did bench this week Daniel Munoz. It's a bit annoying because I was 50-50 on Munoz versus Dewsbury Hall, but that Dewsbury Hall could very easily get 5 points tomorrow. Let's see how he does versus Leeds. I'm really excited for Monday Night Football. But Daniel Munoz, again, was just like, played like a right winger today. So yeah, I'm fairly happy with this week. Like I think if you're on a grey arrow and you've got players that you know are now in demand, like I probably own the game's most in demand player in Tajani Rangers, and that's not because he got the most points. Like, you know, Rangers didn't go and blow it out the park for returns. It was the performance, and it's the club he plays for and the fixtures they've got. People have seen a Man City number 8-10 hybrid that's going to get points that cost only 5.5 million. Like, I think the world and their dog want Tajani Rangers in their team, but they can't all easily get there because they're quite happy with the player they've got. Like for you, Jorginho is a perfectly good hold. It's a really hard decision to make because you're selling a very good player there for obviously probably a better player, but it's a tough decision for many that don't have Rangers. Like, you know, Elliot Anderson's a great pick. You wouldn't want to sell Elliot Anderson for Rangers. Some might.
Yeah, it's a tough spot to be in, and it's easy to, you know, jump ship straight away, but I think I'm at the point where I'm happy to hold on to Rutter. It is tough because, you know, getting subbed early and not on penalties, which we were hoping for, and he didn't play very well. So, to be honest,
won the penalty.
Yeah, in fairness, but I'm not completely sold on Rutter saying that. But then again, I think around there is an odd chance of a benching. I mean, I wouldn't put it past Pep, even with how good he's been. Again, his minutes are definitely secure, but, you know, there's not to say he can't get an odd benching. So yeah, I mean, overall, not in the Forest defence, it was a 9 with that penalty, and now we know Thiago's on penalties. And like you said, Munoz being benched for you is quite tough, but let's be real, you're never going to start him versus Chelsea at the Bridge. So I understand that move. And going back to Eze, Gianni, a few weeks ago we also spoke about Eze. You know, he's been phenomenal in that first game versus Chelsea. He was really good.
Yeah.
And that free kick should have counted.
I mean, he's a baller. He's just a mate. You're going to be so pumped for him in a Spurs shirt, aren't you? Like, he's one of the most exciting signings. I'm trying to think of more exciting Spurs signings, like, in recent times. That's a massive, massive win if you get him.
Yeah, probably Ndombele was the hype. He's the last in hype, boys. But no, Eze coming in, like, I mean, I don't think personally I could have picked a better transfer in terms of something that's realistic. As a Prem proven, always loved him at Palace. I've always spoke about him. Last season I wanted him. And now it looks like it's almost over the line. I'm not going to say anything because even when we get here we goes, they can flop. But I'm trying not to get too excited. But I do think, Gianni, if you were to join the Spurs side, I think you'd do very well on an FPL point of view.
Mate, he got an early sub today at about 82 minutes. Standing ovation from the Palace fans. Travelling support. I don't remember Eze playing like he did today, like really well, and getting an early sub. And I just thought, oh, is this one so you can have the round of applause? But is it like, oh, we know we've lost you now. Don't go break a leg because your transfer value is 10 million less if you get a big injury right now. So we're just going to bring you off at 82. The match is done. I don't know. It looked the early sub was telling for me that the move's happening.
Yeah, and done the rounds of clapping, and also the main thing for me, which gives me a good bit of confidence, Fabio Paratici at the game, which is unusual. Like, so
really, was he there
undercover? So I mean,
that's hilarious.
That is mad. Like, it's insane, but very, very telling. Hopefully, we can look back on this and say we were right. But yeah, let's go back to my team. That was my game week 1 score, 72 points. Again, I'm all out. We have that game tomorrow, Everton play against Leicester. So not my final rank for the game week. But let me get this team out of the way and move you on to my game week 1 team. So in front of you, I've got my game week 2 team. 0 in the bank, like I said, and 1 free transfer. Robert Sanchez, Murillo, Esteve, Williams, Kudus, Gakpo, Jorginho Rutter, Palmer, Fernandez, and then the armband is currently on Haaland with Tottenham at home with Watkins versus Brentford away. So, like I said, the only move I can see myself making is a Rutter to potentially a Reinders, going double up against Spurs. But other than that, I'm almost free to roll that transfer into next. Again, you want to ideally pick up as many free transfers as you can near the start of the season, unless there's going to be some issues. And the reason for that is you do get the random issue in your team every now and then. So unless Rutter actually does become an issue, I can still bring him up to a Reinders if he doesn't get too many price rises between now and then, which he won't. I imagine 0.2 is the max between next week. But yeah, I really like the team. Captaincy wise, I mean, it's almost set in stone on Haaland. Who else could I put it on? I could see myself putting on Palmer, even though he's been really poor. I just feel like West Ham are also quite poor. Again, they didn't concede that much XG, even though conceding 3 against Sunderland. Ollie Watkins, I suppose, the option with Brentford being poor. But other than that, I feel like why not captain the man in form and the team in form?
Yeah. Do you want to talk captaincy now or the rest of your team? Should we go to captaincy? Because it is a proper debate. Like, if you own an Arsenal attacker, everyone's captain Saka or Gyökeres is fine. But most watching don't own an Arsenal attacker. You and I don't. Seeing Chelsea today turns me off Palmer a little bit. Maybe it shouldn't, because West Ham were bad against Sunderland. They were bad. But the team that were really bad, I thought, this weekend, Brentford offered nothing versus Forest, mate. Like, you and I both had double Forest defence, and it looked locked in. And then with 10 minutes left, they conceded a stupid penalty. And Brentford didn't have a sniffle game. That was locked, that clean sheet. And you and I were laughing with double defence. And it didn't happen. But Watkins used to play for Brentford. I know Watkins didn't have a good game. Villa weren't good versus Newcastle, but they will get chances versus this Brentford team. So Watkins is a tempter, but obviously Haaland for you it feels obvious. Do you think that's where you'll go?
It's hard for me, Gianni, being a Spurs fan. 1, being a Spurs fan. 2, knowing how Thomas Frank is going to set up against City. You know, you'd imagine we see a 5 at the back like we saw against PSG. Haaland versus 5 at the back, I don't fancy it, to be honest. You know, he's much better on the counter where he has a lot of space and get good chances. But I don't know, it is a tough one. I think it is a bit closer than just putting the captain on because he got 26 points last week for me.
Hey, I feel like Spurs always do well at City. And I also feel like Thomas Frank teams do quite well at City. Like, we know how he's going to set up, right? We knew against Burnley he was going to play 4-3-3. And we knew he was going to play, well, after seeing him play against PSG with a 3-5-2, it's very obvious he's going to go 3-5-2 versus City. I think I don't know if you were watching my stream this morning where I looked at the Spurs 11 and Kudus' position, and I was like, he is just becoming his Mbermo. Like, I would consider, in fact, I would definitely I don't know who for. Maybe Nico Williams, maybe Jorginho. I would get Pedro Porro in this 11 because I'm not saying Porro is going to keep a clean sheet, but he's got a chance of an attacking return as a wing back, even more so. And recently against Bayern Munich in a pre-season friendly, did you see Porro would have hit DEFCON because he was up against a lot of good play down the left. Now, if Doku plays on the left wing for City, Porro's going to be a very busy man. I wouldn't be surprised to see him get DEFCON. And I wouldn't be surprised to see him get some sort of return outside of that. Now, I have Porro in my team and he's also on my bench. I can't get Porro in, but you've arguably got a weaker spot in Nico Williams and a weaker spot in Jorginho than I currently have in my 11. It's just the way it's worked. I've got a good looking 11 next week. I'd feel like, would you consider putting Porro in this 11 and who for?
Yeah, if I had to, it would be for Williams. Again, Esteve is, not bad, not great. I know Sunderland at home looks good, but it's hard to call one of those games. And you imagine it would be tight.
Might be 0-0 though, right?
Exactly, it could very well be 0-0. Murillo has to play for me if he's so good as what we think he's going to be for DEFCON, even though we've not seen it yet. So Williams is the one who would have to drop out. I don't think I could see myself dropping Rutter unless we got information, or unless, of course, I transfer him over. Captaincy is the big one though, and I do really like Palmer, even though he's been poor. I don't know. There's something about this West Ham fixture. I feel like it's a London derby, a little one. I don't know. I feel like there's something in it for Palmer to grab, even though he's been poor.
I mean, West Ham were bad, so I hear it. Derek says, play Porro, drop Williams, we'll beat him, Chai. Don't know if you'll beat him, but I hear that. I would play Porro over Williams if I was you. I also fancy Palace to score. And I do think you're right. Murillo, this is a game he should get DEFCON, right? And not going to have much of the ball. They're going to be under the cosh. This is a Murillo DEFCON game. So, yeah. Interesting decisions. You don't need a transfer, but I hear you. You might have to make one. You might go Rangers. Just about in goal, Sanchez versus Dubravka. Any debate for you? I mean, they're the two keepers I've got. I've got Sanchez in as well, but just to see your take there.
No chance. For me, I'd be starting Sanchez. Again, promoted keepers, even with good fixtures, it's tough, man.
Yeah, fair play. So, any other potential transfers? Jorginho to Reinders is the only one you're considering, or is there another move there that you've gone, I could go X to Y?
No, I think ideally I'll leave it off. There's definitely players on the watch list. I mean, Ori. So before stream, there was one move that I was looking at. It was Murillo up to Ori and Rutter down to Reinders. It was the one move that I was like playing around with. That would have been beautiful in hindsight, but I'm actually quite happy with Murillo and Jorginho for the time being. I mean, hindsight is a beautiful thing, and maybe next week it'll play out in my favour. So I really don't think it's time to panic for managers yet, unless there is an obvious route to Reinders where you can put your hands up and say, I made a mistake. I don't have that yet, but I feel like if Rutter had got a blank last week and with the 70 minutes, I probably would be going to Reinders in a heartbeat. It would be the most obvious thing ever. So I still need time to process how I feel about Rutter for the time being. But other than that, I'm happy to hold on to Bruno, even though blanking. Palmer, I feel like he could get something from this West Ham game for sure. Watkins, I don't have a doubt about. We've seen a lot of decent strikers like Gyökeres, Pedro now, Gianni, who's after blanking. How do you feel on Pedro? I mean, Pedro's not a million miles off Rutter, except he plays for a better team, really.
Yeah, we know he's going to probably drop in price because that's what happens when you pick highly owned players and they don't perform. Players like Florian Wirtz, players like João Pedro, they're massively close to price drops, or will be, because of a blank. If you had asked me going into the game, how many minutes is João Pedro going to get? I probably would have said 75, right? No one thought João Pedro was a 90-minute man. Now he got 72. And he blanked. He's going to start against West Ham. I think we have to give him that. And I think it's a good fixture. Liam Delap is a good player. And João Pedro is never going to be a long-term hold because of the minutes. This was a case of he's scoring at the moment with every one of his bloody efforts. You just got to chuck him in. But watching Man United today, and Cam is in the chat, Man United fan, devastated Man United fan, hope you're both well. Watching Man United, I want a piece of that attack. Now, you've got Bruno, and Burmo looked brilliant, by the way. Bruno's going to be great. But Sesko's 7.5 million. I think there'll be a lot of managers that see Sesko play versus Fulham next week. He probably starts. I mean, if he scores and João Pedro blanks, or even if Sesko doesn't score, if he plays well, that's all I really care about as a non-owner. Game week 3, Man United have Burnley at home. I wouldn't mind a bit of United attack. If João Pedro looks again like he's blanks and gets another 72 minutes, could very easily make that swap from João Pedro to Sesko. And obviously a lot will be making that swap from João Pedro to Chris Wood, because that's just what happens when someone scores goals, and Chris Wood scored a brace.
Yeah, that was part of my thought process. Game week 3 Burnley, a chance to captain Bruno Fernandes. Same in game week 7, Sunderland at home, an option to captain him if I need be. So it's crazy saying potentially doubling up on Sesko, because I do like that move in game week 3 with Burnley at home. Whether or not I'd get rid of Watkins for Sesko, I'm unsure. Again, don't love it, but I think if I locked in like a game week 8 wildcard, for sure, I'd have a much bigger appetite for risk and do something crazy like that, because otherwise you don't want to be stuck with those two guys, in my opinion. Again, Bruno might tick away nicely. Sesko still unsure. Again, it doesn't look like there's anyone else who can play that role. So, yeah, no, I do like that move, Gianni. Let's talk about the United game. I assumed you watched it. Decent game, and Mbeumo looked really good for me. Other than that, Arsenal scoring from what we expect them to, really, and quite solid.
It's what Arsenal do. This is the best defence in the league for a reason. They know how to protect a 1-0 win. They never go into big games like this and have high scoring games. They lose 1-0, they win 1-0, they draw 0-0, or they draw 1-1. These big games with Arsenal will never be high scoring. It's not what Arteta does. The idea of it being an end-to-end basketball match is just not part of his philosophy. And look, Arsenal are quite boring to watch, let's be honest. Like, the reason, unless they're playing like one of the whipping boys, there's really not much in it. And it's just quite boring. Man United deserve more today, but Arsenal have Leeds next week, and they'll be exciting versus Leeds. They'll probably score some goals. But then game week 3 versus Liverpool will be another 1-0 one way or the other, or a 0-0. Against Forest in game week 4, it will be low scoring and boring. Against City in game week 5, it will be the same. And in game week 6, it's Newcastle. Like, yes, Leeds is brilliant, but I don't think we should see an Arsenal win today and go buy an Arsenal player for Leeds, because game week 3, 4, 5, and 6 are dreadful. Like, that is... You're not going to have a 4-game run harder than that all season. Liverpool, Forest, City, Newcastle. I'm just not there for Arsenal attackers at the moment. That is why so many have been open to the idea of free hit game week 2. Now, are Arsenal good enough to justify a free hit on? Because effectively, that's why so many want a free hit game week 2. It's so they can get triple Arsenal and captain Saka. I don't think Arsenal were good enough to use a free hit on.
Yeah, that's interesting. I was just about to ask you that. So I've got 9 away fixtures this week, and Esteve, who of course is bottom 3 team. Maybe is it too early to be looking into that though, Gianni? Maybe they might get their goals out of them with the tough fixtures. Play a bit more.
This
attacking.
Team could outscore your free hit team.
No, I agree. This is a nice team. I do like
good
with it.
So yeah, no, you're in good shape. But I'm going to ask you about percentages, mate. Let me put you on the spot. As things stand, what percentage likelihood are you going to captain Haaland?
Probably about 35%, to be honest.
Yeah,
I think
Palmer?
my heart is actually, now the more I think of it, is on Palmer, even though he's been poor. I think it'd be so differential, because those with an Arsenal asset are going to go with Saka if Saka's the man. If you've got Salah, you're going to throw it on him. A lot of those don't have Haaland.
I've got Salah, and I'm not sold on Salah captain next week.
Who are you thinking?
I like Watkins and Palmer too. I'm a 3-way split between Watkins, Palmer, and Salah. I've no idea. Yeah,
for me, I'm more likely to put on Palmer for sure. That's saying about 70% or 65% Palmer at that case. West Ham, man, it's just, I don't know, I can see it. Away could be a bit tougher, but Chelsea are due a result. We know how good they can be, Gianni. And Crystal Palace are really good. I mean, I don't know what the stat was today, but Glasner's last 10 games have been against really good sides away, and he's just got a result in all of them. So FPL Wonder says, what are Chai's points in game week 1? 72 so far. But yeah, Where's your head, Gianni? If you had to choose now.
As things stand, my bus is on Salah and my vice is actually on Watkins. The reason I'm not on Palmer is Chelsea today weren't great, sure, but probably the reason I'm really not on Palmer is I've got João Pedro in my team as well, and I feel like already I've got a lot committed on the Chelsea attack. Do you know what I mean? You should view everything in isolation. I know, but I'm never good at that. I can't take away from the fact I've already got a lot of eggs in the Chelsea attack basket with João Pedro and Palmer, and I feel like that's probably sufficient. I don't see me captaining Cole Palmer next week. I'm just looking at the fixtures in terms of where they are. It's the Friday night game. That makes me like it because I know I'm going to be watching it. I didn't realise it was the Friday night game. That's annoying.
Surely risk it all though, then, Gianni, because you have those two guys for a reason. And if Chelsea are going to score, I mean, Palmer's going to be involved, you'd like to think. And he's going to get more minutes than Pedro as well. So
it's Graham Potter though, like quite reserved. Back five. It's a back five, remember, at West Ham. And I think Chelsea could struggle against the five. I do like Ollie Watkins, man. Like, I like the narrative that it's against his old club. And I like the narrative that Brentford were piss poor today.
Yeah, I suppose, but no, it's tough. It's tough because we're trying to gauge it off the first game, and after the first game, we're saying Chelsea were poor. Watkins didn't get a sniff, so we're clinging at straws here. And here I am trying to put off Haaland, who's just got a brace, like so.
Yeah,
I suppose.
Chai, looking at the fixtures, it's Friday night for Chelsea. It's Mo Salah. Monday night, you've got to wait for Newcastle Liverpool till the Monday night.
Oh, that's gonna be tough. Yeah, I don't like that now. But if my goal is to pick the best captain with the most points every week, I mean, either way, I'll be waiting. I don't own Salah.
Yeah. I'm so coin toss between the three.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting.
I'm going to struggle this week with captaincy. Usually I'm quite clinical with it. And on a Monday, I'd say I'm 60% likely going to go Palmer and I'm 20% Salah, 20% Watkins. If it was a three-way split, I'd have one of them that was the majority was on and I'd see it through and Palmer be my captain. As I currently say this, and I've not done much research or thought process on it, but I'm like 33 on all three of them.
No, that's pretty good. And it's going to be interesting to see what the Salah owners do. Is it just perma captain Salah for the rest of the season, even though... Was he fortunate to get that return, or is that me being a salty non-Salah owner, Gianni? But we know that's what he does. I mean, he can always come up with a goal.
Mate, when the game is won, and the game was won, because Chiesa had just scored the winner, that's what Mo Salah does, isn't it? It's like more than anyone. Bruno did it. It's for one of his first couple of seasons at United. He always used to score in like 90th minute when you're already 2-0 up. Bruno and Salah, when the games are done, they're just monsters. They have this like individual target, individual work ethic, which the rest of the game is sort of on a lull because it's over. And those guys just go a million miles an hour and seem to get the returns. It's just what they do. I was at Fest surrounded by a lot of Salah captainers. And I just remember saying to the guy I was next to, being like, chill. Like, Mo Salah will score in the last 10. It's just what he does.
Yeah, it's quite frustration. I can't speak. Quite frustrating as a non-Salah owner. Interesting stat from Hoiknew in chat. He says review got Salah at 6.0 and Palmer at 5.9 predicted points, which is good insight. I mean, review is never too far off, as he's seen with Elliot Anderson being a good pick. Yeah. I think that will determine how my week goes next week, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Think if I can get the captaincy right, I mean, we're laughing, and the rest will play out. Otherwise, I think we could be in a bit of trouble, especially at owning no Arsenal. I don't think many do, but originally I thought about free hitting in game week 2, Gianni. I was almost certain I was going to do it. And
yeah, you mentioned that a while back.
Yeah.
I remember you mentioning that, but it feels like it's for Arsenal, and I just don't think Arsenal were good enough to justify a free hit.
Yeah, no, I know what you're saying. It was more so because I seen this week with 10 away fixtures at the time.
Yeah.
And I seen the potential to play, 3 solid weeks in a row right from the off and use a chip where it's a bit more flexible this year. So Maybe I'm overlooking it now that I've had a good first week. I think you'd be more inclined to do it if you started the week poorly, if you know what I mean. So maybe I need to try look at it at a different lens and make a free hit team and see what it looks like.
Mate, your away fixtures though, like Bruno versus Fulham, fine. Palmer versus West Ham, Watkins versus Brentford. Even Kudus at City, I think you back Spurs to score. So yeah, Gakpo versus Newcastle, it's hard. What I'd say about Salah captain, mate, Newcastle were quite good versus Villa, like really good. Villa produced an XG of like around 0.2, bugger all. So maybe that Newcastle defense is better than we think.
Yeah, for sure. I know I've seen a lot of tweets saying how good Newcastle are, even forgetting Isaac, and it's true.
Yeah. I don't feel like I'm nailed on Salah by any stretch. I just keep coming back to thinking Watkins is the best option, but I must admit I prefer the idea of going to a midfielder because it's the extra points, right? Like with Haaland, it feels like you need 2 returns every time, and you got those 2 returns, so fair play.
Yeah, what I want to ask you is, now that you've seen my team, what do you make of some of the picks? Now, try not to take in hindsight. I know it's hard with seeing Kudus return and Gakpo. What do you make of Kudus and Gakpo now we're after seeing them in action? Again, it's hard to judge because Kudus goes away to City, so be a bit more telling rather than playing Burnley at home. But yeah, are any of them on your radar? No.
If I had those sort of price points to buy, they would be, but I just don't. I've got 3 expensive midfielders and 2 cheap, and those mid price points of 6.5 and 7.5, I don't have in my team. So yeah, eventually if Florian Wirtz was to come out, but I can't see that, then I could go down to one of these guys, or Palmer. But pre-season, I loved both these picks. These 2 were in and out my drafts pre-season. Like I had Kudus and Gakpo in drafts. The one I don't like particularly is Jorginho Rutter. I didn't quite get the hype. I get it. It's a number 9 playing for Brighton, but I was always worried about 90 minutes because Welbeck exists. And O'Reilly, who took the pen, by the way, played number 10, has had a brilliant pre-season. I just think the 5.5 mids of Tijani Reinders and Elliot Anderson, if Elliot Anderson, Tijani Reinders and Jorginho Rutter were the same price, I would still rank Jorginho third. So that's the one pick I guess I don't like. And I think if I was you, I would probably sell him to Tijani Reinders because Reinders is going to keep going up in price. An early season is so volatile. He'll have 2 price rises this week. And if he bangs next week, he'll have another 2. And then before you know it, you're 0.4 down. Not that team value matters that much. It's points at the end of the day. But I fancy Reinders versus Spurs more than I would Jorginho versus Everton.
No, I hear that for sure.
Mate, he's going to go up in price tonight, by the way, according to Scout. I've just looked on the Scout members area. This season, they've got a predicted price rise thing on the Scout members area. And it has Rangers going up tonight.
Yeah, a lot were skeptical that he was going to do it last night. And he is expected to be the first one this season. What a player, by the way, Gianni. And not picking up bonus, which was, I know there's a lot of controversy about that because, No,
I think it was justified because it used to be man in the stands. It's not been that for a long time. We know what the metrics of the bonus point system are, and it's black and white. There's 40 metrics or whatever it is. It used to be 32, but it's gone up. Mark Southerns was in my stream this morning. Did you see his comment?
No, I didn't know.
So I was doing Rangers and I was talking bonus points, and Mark commented, Mark, the founder of Fantasy Football Scout, guys, working now with the Premier League. He commented, because I had this exact conversation on my stream this morning on my channel. And I said, it feels a bit unfair, but I get it. We know what we're in for. And Mark commented, he looked it up clearly. He had 14 negatives in the bonus points. So he had minus 14 against his name, which is what we don't see. So I was like, where's he got minus 14? I thought, okay, you get a minus a couple for your yellow card. He got fouled. He made a few fouls. He was offside and he missed a couple of chances off target. I was like, maybe minus 8. But I didn't realize you got -1 for every time you're tackled, and he got tackled like loads, got tackled like 5 times. So -14, I was like, whoa, that's fair enough. A lot of those things could have easily not happened, and he would have got 2 bonus. But they did happen. He did give away possession. He did miss chances. He was offside. He did foul people. So it's fair. It's fair. But he's going to be a bit of a bonus beast because he's creative. He shoots, usually on target. His chemistry with Haaland looked lovely. His engine's outrageous to get up and down. I just think he is the face of the game week. And that's not because he went and got 20 points. It's because the performance was so good. And anyone that watched that game just went, whoa, I've slept on someone here if I didn't pick him on my FPL team. And in a way, yes, 10 points is probably about fair for his performance, but it just looks like there's going to be a load of those 10 pointers coming.
Yeah, it was mad watching him play. I mean, he was absolutely magnificent. But just on Reinders, what was I going to say? I had something good. The bonus point system. No, it is interesting. I don't think we've ever seen a player with that performance not get bonus points. And we're so used to the likes of Pedro Porro conceding 3 goals and getting an assist and getting bonus points. So it is really unusual. It has to go down as the greatest performance not to get bonus.
Yeah, I'd agree with you there.
Yeah,
he was clearing away the best player on the pitch, wasn't he? Like it was clear.
But yeah, it does happen. And again, we've seen the new penalty bonus points being kicked in with Thiago as well. Not getting any, of course, even though you'd give it all to the Forest guys because they played well. What do you make of Chris Wood actually scoring 2 today?
Yeah, man. I mean, we all looked at Forest pre-season and went, they're not scoring goals. Swerve them. Get their defenders. They kept 5 clean sheets in pre-season and scored like 1 goal. Chris Wood, it's just what he does, isn't it? Low XG chances, puts them away. I'm not going to lie, mate. I didn't consider Chris Wood once this pre-season, and he's just come out of the weekend as like the clearing away like best 7.5 million option again.
Yeah, exactly, and some really good fixtures coming up. Let's see how it plays out though, because I can't imagine Pedro and Watkins and the big strikers can be kept quiet for too long. Again, it's only been game week 1. Let's not get too excited. Yourself, Gianni, I haven't seen your team and I know you're keeping it exclusive, but do you plan on making any moves this week?
Don't know. I've got 0.5 in the bank, and I wanted to leave myself that option for like game week 2 and beyond. I don't see myself getting angry at a Wirtz or a João Pedro and getting rid. Like, I knew what I was in for with those players. I'm giving them a run. The one player I didn't buy that I was tempted to on the deadline with my 0.5 was Ray and Nori. And I've got 3 5.5 million defenders, and I could have upgraded any of them to Nori, and I chose not to. And I'm gutted because Nori cleaned up yesterday, right? He got DEFCON and he got a bonus point. So what did he finish with? 9 points. I could sell any of them for 9 for him, but I'm not selling Daniel Munoz. He was like my first 5.5 million pick. I can't sell Murillo because I picked him as a long-term DEFCON beast. The other one was Pedro Porro. He was the one I took in last, but it feels silly. Like seeing Pedro Porro in that European Super Cup was enough for me to pick him.
I'm actually really surprised you went down that route, Gianni, because like, you know, just speaking throughout the weeks, like, and I saw him in your team, I was like, Gianni's gone with Porro. I can't believe it. Like,
it was the Super Cup.
Yeah,
it was seeing Frank open up to a back 5, knowing you'll play back 5 a lot, and seeing the set pieces. And Thomas Frank, set piece Brentford was set piece Spurs, right? I was like, I need Porro.
Absolutely, and Romero header in the Super Cup. So yeah, that's the reason for me as well. And again, you didn't have the greatest game versus Burnley from an FPL point of view, but I think there's a lot to offer. Even in, like you're saying, the City game, it's not set in stone that I want to start him. It's just, you know, I always just put in the fixtures and without thinking, and then when I think, I decide to make my moves. So I'll have plenty to think about tonight with Jorginho Rutter, whether or not I move early or not, or have more time to think of it and take the 0.4 in the bank and Reinders in. I'm unsure. If you're asking me now, Gianni, the captaincy is on Cole Palmer. Other than that, I don't see too much happen with this team next week.
Yeah, okay. Captaincy on Palmer. The only move... Okay, question on percentage ownership or percentage. What chances is it that you sell Jorginho to Reinders?
Yeah, I think it's genuinely 50-50. There's a part
of me... Does it happen tonight if you do it, or are you giving yourself time?
It has to happen tonight. I'd be too stubborn to do it otherwise.
Whoa.
Yeah.
So by the time some people watch this video tomorrow, you would have sold Jorginho to Rangers, possibly.
Yeah, I would like to think so. Yeah, because I'm one to bite the bullet if I don't do it before the price rise, and I know I shouldn't be that way. It's just who I am.
Well, it's not like you've got anyone playing on Monday night. If you were Dewsbury Hauling your team, or if you were the Leeds defender that in your 11, I'd be like, oh, what if they get injured, Chai? You need to make a transfer, but you don't have any attackers in that game. So, and none of them are playing midweek. I think Crystal Palace have a fixture midweek, but you don't have any Palace players either. So you're not going to get an injury unless you get a training ground injury, which is pretty rare.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think we're looking good to go, Gianni, for next week, and we'll close it up there. Just hit the 40-minute mark. Do like and subscribe if you've enjoyed this stream. Again, a good start for us. Unusual for one of us to do well so far. And again, I've not seen your team, Gianni, so I don't know how well you've done so far. But
yeah, no, 51 points. I mean, our teams are so similar, dude. Like you had Haaland, I had Salah, and you had the extra return from Gakpo. But other than that, pretty much the same.
Absolutely. So let's look forward to next week, and hopefully next week we can do just as good. As usual, lads, do hit those buttons before you leave, and we will see you in the next.